Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Late Night Show with Dr. Kojo. Got a new intro song, so I'm doing my thing. Checking in from what was a sunny day here in Los Angeles, California. Of course, it's nighttime now, but yeah, we have a bonus episode of the Late Night Show. A Wednesday episode. We're gonna be talking about codependent relationships. But before we get into it, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let me know what your name is and where you're checking in from. Amberly, what's going on? How you doing? Sarah, two Sarahs back to back. How y'all doing? Amber, what's up? What's up? Oh Lordy, this is me, but I've been going therapy for 3 years. Hey, Dan, we're gonna hopefully, drop a couple of golden nuggets for you to learn from today. Laura from Tijuana. Oh wow, Mexico. Wow. Hey, how are you doing? Tennessee, what's up? Leilani from Tennessee. We have Sarah from Canada. How do I know? We're going to talk about it. I'm going to give you all 5 signs of a codependent relationship. We've been talking a lot about relationships this week, so we're going to keep that theme going. We got love from Arizona. We have Shayana. I appreciate you. Very nice name. Canada again. Ohio in the house. Greene County, Georgia, Ohio, Philippines. Okay, people from all over. All right, what's up? What's up, Sonia? Destiny from Huntsville, Alabama. What's up, Destiny? How you doing? Kansas City in the house. I hope you're not a Chiefs fan. All right, guys, let's get into it. Codependent relationships, right? Let's talk about codependent relationships. This is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and I've got a couple of ideas, and I got some skits and stuff planned, and I'm going to post those. But while I have your attention on live, I want to talk about this type of a relationship, because a lot of times people find themselves in this type of relationship, and I believe that if so a codependent relationship, somebody will ask me this question at some point. It is possible to save a codependent relationship, right? But the longer you go without knowing that something is wrong, I feel like you may be inadvertently dumping trauma on the other person, and then vice versa, right? And then you go back and forth. You throw so much trauma on each other that it becomes hard to salvage a relationship. So I definitely want to talk about it, and hopefully you will learn a thing or two. Marsha, I'm happy to be back on live. I appreciate y'all. I'm happy to be back on live, right? So let me define a codependent relationship in a way that I think it's easy to understand, right? So when you say codependent relationship, if I was walking, here in LA on Ventura Boulevard, and somebody's like, "Hey, what's a codependent relationship?" I would probably say it's a relationship where one person has a desire to be needed. Like, you have to be needed. Like, if I'm not needed, I feel like I don't have any worth, right? Like the need to be needed is extremely high. Hey, Mom, can I call you back? I'm on Facebook Live, please. Okay, all right. Bye, my love you. All right. That's my mom. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm back on live, on the verge of separating, terribly codependent. Right, yeah. So with hey, I appreciate y'all. No, it feels good that people were happy to have me back. I really appreciate that. And Alicia, yeah, my mom was doing good on the East Coast. But yeah, I will call her back. I will call her back. But when you're talking about a codependent relationship, you're talking about somebody who has a need to be needed. Like, if that person is not needed, or if they feel like they can't do for the other person, like constantly over and over, they feel like they're worthless, right? So when you have that type of dynamic, normally you have one person who, like, on one hand, right here, you have one person who like really needs to be needed, and on the other hand, you have somebody who could probably benefit from you setting boundaries for them, right? But because of the nature of a codependent relationship, the moment you try and set a boundary, sometimes you're going to run into issues, right? So without further ado, let's get into the 5 signs I have for y'all. Man, I'm happy to be back on live. I'm so happy to be back on live. All right. So the first sign, right? You have trouble being alone, right? You have trouble being alone. So keep in mind, I'm not diagnosing nobody. Nobody's being diagnosed here. We're just learning, right? We're just having a good time. We're just vibing, right? But you have a hard time being alone, and this is something that if you have a hard time being alone, it doesn't mean that you're automatically codependent, right? Because a lot of times people may struggle to be by themselves, right? Maybe you got out of a relationship, or maybe you just feel like you operate better when people are around. you. But when you have a hard time being alone in a relationship, the reason why this is it's not the best thing. I don't say it's a bad thing, right? Because it's not a matter of bad or good. But the reason why this is not the best is because if you have a hard time being alone in a relationship, you don't have leverage, right? And when I say leverage, I don't mean that like we're negotiating against each other, right? But I believe that in a good relationship, each person should be willing to walk away. Not that you should walk away, but you should be willing to walk away if your boundaries are pushed, if you're not able to like feel respected. So when you're willing to walk away and you're willing to stand up for yourself, I feel like the other person respects you more, because sometimes the person on the other side may be like, this person doesn't respect himself, so why should I respect them, right? So you have to be able to, or it'd be nice if you could stand for yourself, here and there. But when you have a hard time being alone, you're not able to negotiate, right? It's kind of like when you go to the car dealership and they tell you, hey, you got 5 minutes to make this deal. If you leave the dealership without buying this car, you come back tomorrow, it's going to be $5,000 more, right? And nothing against car salesmen, but somebody tried to run that on me, and I'm like, all right, I'll go. I don't need the car. I'll go. And then the guy was like, oh, we can work with you, right? And if you see what I did in that situation, right? I wanted to get a car, and the guy was like, hey, like if you don't make the car now, if you leave and come back, we're gonna charge you more. I'm like, all right, I'll just go. I didn't need the car, right? But if I was like, I really want this car, like I would have been out of $5,000, right? Extra to pay for the car, right? So if you have a hard time being alone, it's going to be very, very difficult to advocate for yourself, right? So by enjoying your own time or understand that, hey, I can be by myself, and it doesn't mean that I'm less of a person, right? Working on being, even if you're in a relationship, not for people who are single, but if you're able to just be self-sufficient alone, you put yourself in a better position to advocate for yourself, right? Let me read a couple of comments and I'll get to the second one. My husband knows I need alone time, whether it be out by the water, casting a line, or going shopping or pampering myself. I'm a big believer in alone time for everybody, couple, just everybody. We need alone time, right? I need, like, on the weekends when I don't do this show, like I'm playing video games and just like enjoying myself. And then when I come back, I'm able to, be the best version of myself. Um, I love being alone since I was a kid. All right, well, you're able to, advocate for yourself. Cody says, I have to have attention from people. All right, so let me stay here for a second before I move on. First of all, Cody, thank you for sharing, because I know this is a public platform, so it can be difficult to share things. But when you have to have attention from somebody, it makes it harder to be alone, right? Because if you have to get attention from people, then somebody can give you attention and they can just withdraw and say, all right, I'm going to stop giving you attention, right? And they're going to, just, they can have you on a string like a yo-yo, right? You remember the little yo-yos you used to play with as a kid? Just have you up and down, and then you're doing whatever they want, right? So I think the first step to getting better in this situation, Cody, you saying it out loud. Sometimes we just have to say the thing, right? Sometimes just say, hey, I have to have attention from people, and this kind of holds me back, right? And then as you progress, you're like, okay, all right, how can I get a little bit better, right? How can I get 1% better today? We don't have to do it all today, but we have to get a little bit better, right? The second sign that I have here for y'all, signs of or 5 potential signs of a codependent relationship right here. All right. Taking time out for yourself for self-care makes you feel selfish, right? So it's funny because Leilani just said that she has to have her alone time, she has to go fishing, blah blah blah, and people were saying that they enjoy being by themselves, right? If you take time for yourself and you feel selfish, that could be a sign that, hey, like there's this tendency to really lean into needing that other person, right? And this comes from, like, you feel like you're almost sometimes like responsible for this person. Like you're like, I want them to be like this. I need this person to be a certain way. And you feel like by not being close to them, like you don't control the situation as much, right? There's a need to kind of control the situation. From what I've seen in my experience. Eh, Someone has a good question here. Can someone in a relationship that can't be alone ruin it? Jasmine, it's a good question. I mean, that alone may not be able to ruin the relationship, but I don't think you're able to speak up for yourself as well as you could be if you were able to be by yourself. I will say that, right? Let me look at a couple more comments. Both my ex and I broke up, but keep coming back to each other. Both of us. All right, so David, first of all, thank you for sharing. Anytime I see guys on here talk about mental health, I get excited because we're not talking a lot about mental health as guys. So shout out to David. I gotta give you the love of the show. But I can relate to this as well, right? I can relate to this. I can think of a particular relationship in my past where you'd break up and then I would get sad and I'm like, "Ugh, I wonder what she's doing." And then I had to go on this whole grand gesture of, okay, I need to plan out a date and we need to, blah, blah, blah. And, in that relationship, I felt like in a sense, I was kind of like where you are. Maybe both of us were kind of codependent on each other and we didn't have those healthy boundaries, right? And whether you get back with, your ex or not, it's good to pick up on some of these tendencies and the patterns. And that way you can say, all right, okay, I'm going to do this better next time around, right? Let me see. Let me read a couple of questions before I get to the third one. Lynette says, whenever I leave the house, I text 70 times to make sure everything is okay. All right. So I've heard, Lynette, I'm not diagnosing you, but I've heard this same phrase said by people who suffer from separation anxiety, right? So, maybe it could be a little bit of that or something else. I'm not saying that this is what it is, but sometimes if you feel like you have to like this could be a sign of codependency, Lynette. Let's say you feel like if you're gone, you're like, how is that person gonna operate? Like, I'm gone. How is like my spouse, my child, like what are they gonna do? Like, they're gonna be screwed without me, right? And sometimes you make it hard, whether you realize it or not, to let the person do their own thing, right? I think that if you see like your partner struggling within a relationship to do something that they could probably do for themselves, it might not be a bad idea to let them struggle for a little bit, And it's not. I want y'all, don't clip that out and say that I'm telling y'all to watch your partner struggle, right? But if it's something that, like, let's say your partner is like doing the dishes or putting the dishes in the dishwasher, and normally they're pretty good at it, but for some reason they're kind of struggling today, right? Maybe you can help them out, if they need it. But if you know that they're capable of doing something, right, you do want that person to be able to be responsible for themselves and be proud of who they are, but of course help out is needed. Thank you for your comment, Miss Lynette Ramsey. And trauma bond versus Jen. So sometimes you said trauma bond versus codependency. Sometimes it's trauma bond, codependency, other mental health issues. Like, sometimes it's not as simple as like one or the other, but sometimes all these things are happening all at once. Let me answer this question before I get to the third point. Is being codependent a sign of ADHD? So, Jamie, thank you for asking this question. I'm happy I caught this one. To my knowledge, being codependent is not a sign of ADHD. Like, I've never seen it anywhere in like the DSM. To my knowledge, is not the part of the criteria for ADHD. With that being said, right? With that being said, the ADHD experience, in general, like maybe being a little bit moody, like having some mood swings, being impulsive, struggling with emotional dysregulation, having a hard time regulating your emotions and expressing yourself could manifest to codependent behavior. But it's not a sign of ADHD, if that makes sense. I'm happy you asked that question, because sometimes I don't see the questions, they come so fast, but like it's good to just like catch that and be like, all right, like this is what it is. And Svetlana, I hope I said that correctly. Is there such a thing as healthy? This is a good question. Mickey Ficky, this is a good question. Healthy codependency. It's kind of like an oxymoron, I think. I don't know. I think, let's say you have two people in a relationship which is characterized as being codependent, right? Let's say that you started off codependent and you made a couple of adjustments along the way. You may be able to appreciate your relationship that much more because you overcame a lot of hurdles and struggles, and at some point in that process, somebody had to put boundaries up, and maybe it wasn't received well at first, but over time, it was, y'all were able to like work things through, right? So maybe you're able to problem solve. I feel like if you're just in life, even just forget relationships, if you're able to problem solve through things with people, if you're able to be if you're able to disagree without being disagreeable, I think that's a great trait. So that's my that's my answer to that question. That's a good question. I love it when y'all ask me questions and I have to like think for a second. Amber, I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. When I see comments like this keeps me making the videos, because when you're making videos online for like a big platform, you come across a lot of comments, and sometimes if I see something negative, it might just kill my spirit. I might be like, all right, I'm done for the day. So those comments do help. I appreciate you. My mother is having difficulties with boundaries. It's so difficult to set boundaries with her without being tagged as disrespectful, ungrateful. So Bernie, this is normally how, for somebody who has never really had to deal with boundaries being like enforced, the very first time that you like implement a boundary, normally you're gonna have this type of thing, right? Where and sometimes like it's not a fact that, oh, the mom or the parent is evil or toxic. Sometimes you have to keep in mind that, like, I'm not defending your mother, but just hear me out. That at one point your mother was also somebody's daughter, and maybe she went through things as well growing up, and she didn't know how to process it. So now she's grown and she has a kid. This is how she handles situations. It's not right, right? It's not right. But sometimes seeing where people come from makes it a little bit easier to empathize, right? All right. How does codependency make? Ooh, wow. That's a good question. I'll answer this and then we'll get to the third point. How does codependency make long distance relationships worse? This is a good question, because I'm thinking to myself, you can still be codependent in a long distance relationship, right? You don't have to like really be like with them, right? But that person might be calling and FaceTiming and saying letters, or feeling like they have to fly back across the country to. But I think a codependent tendencies hurt the relationship, whether it's long distance or whether you are 10 minutes away. It hurts the relationship by not, because one part of the relationship, one side is not able to express themselves and do what they need to do for themselves, and the other side is having a hard time speaking up for themselves, right? So I would imagine that would frustrate any uh relationship. Slowly getting divorced. I hear it was so terrible, broke me as a person. Kayla, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. We're gonna have this divorce conversation soon, and I'll do my best to approach it from a perspective where we can have a divorce conversation where we're not upset at the ex-spouse, but like we can learn. Like we have to do one or two things at all time on this platform. We need to either learn or we need to laugh, right? Hopefully we're doing a combination of the two. All right, so number 3, the third point right here. All right. The third potential sign of a codependent relationship. All right. You feel like you need to save them from themselves, right? And this is the whole notion of like, I gotta save somebody, right? What's that J. Cole song? Was it J. Cole? Yeah. He was like, don't save them. They don't want to, right? So like that's a theme in the pop culture, and even before that song, like it was there, right? Sometimes you feel like you for whatever reason, you feel like you have been placed on this earth to take care of that person. Like I'm here, I have to save this person, right? And you feel like without you there, that person is gonna like just wither away and they can't do anything for themselves, right? And it actually, in my opinion, I feel like it comes from a good place, like or it can come from a good place. Like, hey, I really care about this person. Like I care about this person. I want them to do well. So like because I care so much about this person, I'm gonna start doing X, Y, Z. I'm gonna start doing here. I'm gonna start calling their parents. I'm gonna start making plans. I'm gonna start living their life for them, because I feel like I know what they need more than, like, I know what's best for them more than they know what's best for them. So I have to come and I have to save them, right? And that it's good to want to come and improve somebody's life, right? Like if you're in a relationship with somebody, I would assume that like y'all should be benefiting from each other, right? But people are self-sufficient, right? And like there's a certain level of respect and there's a certain level of confidence that comes with being able to sustain yourself, right? Like not financially, emotionally, just in general. Like when you're okay by yourself and you can stand on your own 2 feet and say, "Hey, I think I'm all right." A lot of there's a sense of pride that comes with that, right? And we shouldn't strip people of their ability to care for themselves. If anything, we should come in and it should be like complimentary. Like if I'm doing all these things, but I'm super busy, it's like somebody coming into my life and saying, "Hey, oh, you're busy with this? Okay, cool. Well, I'm really good at this. I'll help you with that, and then I suck at this, so you help me with this, right?" As opposed to saying, "Oh, that girl really needs me. Like she needs me. So like without her, like without me, like how is she gonna live? So I have to start making all these decisions for her, right?" Um, and let me see. Uh, so yes, Natasha. Uh, I don't know. Well, maybe I should make an announcement about this. But whenever I make a live, like I always keep my lives there forever. Like even going back to my first live back in January, every live that I do is going to be saved after the fact. So if it's late for you, I know this is a late night show. I do have a breakfast show that we do often. But if it's too late for you, just like make a bookmark or something like that and come back and watch it in the morning. So like it's not going anywhere. I'll promise that it's not going anywhere, right? If you're afraid your significant other is depressed, is that still codependency if I'm concerned? Ooh, Pierce, good question right here. Yee! Shout out to Pierce. Pierce is an OG of the show. If you're afraid that your significant other is depressed, is that still codependency? So I don't think, like, let's say you walk in, right, to the house, right, and let's see, you're on vacation. You came back home and you know your significant other was there. The house is messy. The dishes were there. The trash hadn't been taken out, and you ask them what was up, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just kind of going through it." And you're like, "Oh, I wonder if they're depressed. How can I help out?" I don't think that's codependency right there. I think that's you being concerned that, hey, like my significant other might be struggling. Like, is there something that I can do to help, right? But if you feel like if there's no deviation in their behavior, everything is cool. You come back from vacation, they're chilling and whatever, but then you're like, "Oh, I think you're depressed," and because sometimes like you can almost like kind of gaslight. When I say gaslight, it's kind of like where you make somebody believe something that didn't happen happened, or something that happened didn't happen, right? The person doesn't know the left from the right. They don't know if they're coming or going, right? So if your significant other is doing fine, and then you come to them, you're like, "Hey, babe, I feel like you're a little depressed. You know what? You're depressed, so I think this is what you need. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna clean your car out for you. I'm gonna rearrange your stuff, and I'm gonna set up appointments for you to go get your nails done or whatever, right? Now this can be something that's like a good thing, right? Like, oh, you're gonna get your spouse's or your significant other's nails done, but there's that form of control. Like I have to be in the driver's seat for that person's life, right? Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, let me know. Let me know if if it doesn't make sense. It might not make sense, right? And Leilani, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I made trash day, but I missed a car appointment this morning, and I was late to my haircut appointment. So, but you can't win them all. It happens, and I will remember to wear my retainers. They're right here. Kind of nasty, right? But they're right here. Like it's right here. I spent too much money to have to wear Invisalign again. Like it's Mickey Ficky. Debbie says, "I hate my things being arranged." Right. Exactly. Right. So it's like me coming home to Debbie and saying, "Hey, babe, you look like you're depressed. I'm going to rearrange your stuff. Boom, boom, boom. I'll put this right here. And you need to get to bed by this time. And all right, I'll see you later." Like that type of thing. That's more so codependent. Kaylin, ooh, that's a good question right here. That's a good question. What's the line of caring too much and codependency? Wow. This is a great question. I think so. All right, this question has to be answered by you, right? Like only you know the true answer, right? Zoe, what's good? Zoe, my dog all over the place. Shiesty, come over here. But only you can answer this question. When you feel like, because like I said earlier, like a lot of times the codependency may start from you really caring. Oh, I really care about this person, but then it goes too far. When you are doing things with the intention of, oh, I need to have control, or you are doing things with the intention of, oh, I need to position myself to where this person will always need me. I think at that point we've crossed the line, right? I think at that point we've crossed the line. Like that's why intent matters a lot. Like, hey, babe, I care about you. Let me get nails down, or like, let me help out. That's fine, right? But if it's like, hey, like, like do this, do that, and let me take care of that, or uh, I need you to like lay off on that. Let me do this, and then don't worry about how it's done, but I'll take care of it. And you come to me when you need updates, right? When you feel like the other person really needs you, and they won't leave because they need you, I feel like we kind of crossed the line. Ashley, codependent relationships confuse me a little still. Shoot, they confuse me sometimes too. What are the negative aspects of a codependent relationship? I was in an abusive marriage and then another bad relationship. Sorry to hear that. Where they made me depend on them. Is it the same thing? So Ashley, so this is why, like, as I was thinking about how I was gonna pull these skits off, I really had to sit down there and think about it, right? If let's say you're the breadwinner of the house, and then your partner is the one who stays at home and they take care of things, right? Or vice versa, right? Let's say your partner is the breadwinner and then you're the one who stays at home and you take care of things, right? They're going to depend on you to have help with the stuff at home, and you're going to depend on them for like financial help. That becomes excessive to the point where like you need them for every single thing, to where you can't express yourself, to where if something happened to that person, you're screwed, like with a capital S. Then it's like you've crossed into that codependent lane, because that self-sufficiency, that accountability is going to be difficult for you to have that, right? And sometimes, let's say you've been in a codependent relationship, you get out of it, and then you get your head from underwater, and then you go into a different situation. I believe that if you left a codependent relationship, or maybe you might still be in one, it can be hard for you to speak up for yourself in other areas, right? You go to work, right, and then you're negotiating salary or something like that. You might kind of be like, oh, yeah. Like it's hard to speak up for yourself if you're codependent. That's one thing that I think, like, is potential downside, because like you haven't been able to do that, right? Because somebody is doing it for you, right? Um, I'm glad I caught you. Hey, Patrick, I'm happy you're on. I mean, shoot, I'm late too, so it's all good. We're good with it. What happens if two ADHD individuals in a relationship that struggle with attention and boundaries? How do you know if it's gaslight? What? I've had personal experience with this. I mean, I've never dated a girl who told me she had ADHD, and I try not to diagnose people that I date. But like I know I have ADHD, and I think so. Sometimes, Casey, it's clear to you once you're out of the relationship, or if you hear from somebody else, right? But like I mentioned earlier in the live, the ADHD experience in general, uh, can be quite it can be quite frustrating, right? Having a hard time managing emotions, boom, 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 all these different things, right? So it can be difficult just to communicate correctly. So it might not be gaslighting, Casey, but sometimes you might gaslight yourself if they're thinking that there's an issue, or sometimes you all may actually be gaslighting each other, right? But a lot of times when there's miscommunication, a lot like when you're not on the same page with anybody else, right? Communication wise, it opens the door for like a lot of issues. Right. So Sly, I'm happy you said this. We talked a little bit about separation anxiety. I think that there is some overlap between the two, right? Feeling like, because with a codependent relationship and also with separation anxiety, like if you're away from like that person, or that authority figure or whatever, you're gonna feel like, oh wow, like I just don't feel right. Like I'm constantly worrying about X, Y, and Z. Um, and yeah, Leilani, I've done a lot about boundaries, but like I don't mind having topics again. We can talk about boundaries in April, and then we can talk about it in September with a different spin. So yeah, and I don't mind, talking about it. Let me answer this, and then we'll get to the fourth point, the fourth sign of a potential codependent relationship: how to leave a codependent relationship when the other is self-destructive. Ooh, so like this just really this sounds like a codependent situation, right? It's like you want to leave, but you can't leave because and this is just I'm just talking. Like I'm not saying this is you, AJ. I want to clarify that because I don't know if you're new here, but let's say this is a codependent relationship, right? With a person who, or let me use myself as an example, right? I'm talking to a lady and I want to leave. I'm like, like I want to leave, but then I'm codependent, right? It's a codependent situation, so I feel like the lady is self-destructive. So I'm like, I can't leave because she needs me. If I leave, like I'd like to leave, I like to be single, or I'd like to date somebody else. I'd like to do whatever, but I can't really leave because if I leave, there's no way that she can take care of herself, and like she needs me to like stay alive. So like I gotta stay around and just look after her. That type of thing is like the beginning of like a codependent situation. And let me fourth potential sign of a codependent relationship, and this goes with uh what AJ said, and Cadence is something you struggle with. Oh, Kaylin, for sure in the past, for sure, right? Because there's no uh like there's no rule book on dating, right? And like I spent the majority of my 20s in school, right, trying to get all those degrees. So by the time that I was like seriously dating, now like just talking to girls in college, like seriously dating, I'm like, there's a couple of things that I'm a little bit behind on, right? And the fourth potential sign of a codependent relationship, you want to change who they are, right? So going back to that example earlier, right? You feel like they need you because they're self-destructive, right? So you're telling yourself, all right, they need me, but I feel like I can change them a little bit. I'm just gonna keep like staying around, and I'm gonna do what I need to do, but I think I can change this person, right? And you have that desire to want to change them, and oftentimes you want to change them into the version of that person that you thought they were when you first started dating them, right? Like you first meet somebody and like as you date, you try to get to know somebody, but then you meet somebody, you're like, okay, this is who they are. Cool. But then in your head, you may have a version of, oh, I like so and so, but if they did these things differently, ooh, like then that would be like my dream person, right? So sometimes you maybe you say it, maybe you don't say it, but then sometimes you think to yourself like, all right, cool. I bet if I could just change a couple of things, it's my dream girl, right? Or your dream partner, or whatever the case may be. But just having that desire to want to change them, because I think like if you're dating, I mean, just in general, like we really should accept people for who they are. But if you're dating somebody and they're perfect, like they cross like 8 of your 10 things, right? And you're like, oh, if I can just get them to like be a morning person, or if I can get them to like want to go on to whatever, right? If you feel like you can do that, you'll think to yourself that, oh, now this is the person that I want. Or maybe you want to change them because you feel like if you change them, then you can have more control over the situation, right? And yeah, Kendra, I agree. You can't change a person, but I feel like everyone has room to grow. Yeah, I don't think anybody can change any person. Um, like I think you can meet somebody and say, "Oh, this person inspires me to want to do better," so that I can have this life with them. But I don't think anybody can really change you. Like people can't. I don't think you can change a person, honestly. Uh, Let me see. How do I prove that I'm not codependent, but I'm just trying to be caring? Pierce is a good question. I think first of all, maybe do some self-reflection and really just make sure that you are able to root for the other person without like, some type of internal desire for you to have control over the situation. It's a very uncomfortable like conversation, right? Like I've had some of these combos with friends, and sometimes we have the convo, we're like, damn, like this is like some real talk, right? Like we always talk about like healing and mental health, and I want to get better. But then when you have to like hold a mirror in front of yourself, you're like, shoot, I might need to switch up a couple of things here and there. It can be very uncomfortable, right? But instead of trying to prove, because the person who is codependent, right, and the person who's caring, they both care, right? So as long as like you're good within yourself and you know that you're coming from a good place, I think that would be more ideal, because trying to prove to the person, like you want them to see a certain thing. If they don't see it, then you feel like you failed. You can't control whether the person will believe you that you're not codependent, right? So you can just kind of like, be like, all right, it's me, it's within myself. All right, let me see. Not this time, Valenzuela, but I can't wait till I make my return to healthcare. I got some ideas, but I need some more fun. I got some ideas. I got some ideas. I got some ideas. Uh, your great inspiration, Christopher. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I had a broken childhood with a divorce at a young age, then forced medication to normalize, and now I have troubles trusting someone. Uh, uh, and I have trouble trusting someone is there for me in ways I'm willing to be there for them. I tend to run into abusers who don't even take time to get to know me. Any suggestions on how to talk about not being left out in the dark in a relationship? Please and thank you for your help and love. So, Christopher, thank you so much for sharing. And I, the way that we grow up as kids, like, it has a big impact on us, right? And even like divorce is a major life event. Divorce affects both parties, right? Both people who are in the marriage, and it also affects the kids, right? Divorce is like a huge thing. And of course, you mentioned that forced to medicate, and now you're having a hard time trusting that someone is going to be there in ways that you're willing to be there for them, right? And you tend to run into abusers who don't take the time to get to know you. So I think what you can do is start, like, don't do too much in the beginning of the relationship. You meet somebody and you're vibing with them. Try not to commit too much in the beginning, right? I'm not telling you to be like avoidant or be like nah, but don't put in more than you're willing to put in, right? Like, it's kind of like when you're going to Vegas and gambling and you're like, oh, how much money am I willing to lose playing poker or whatever? I don't even know how poker works, but make sure that you're pacing yourself, and make sure that whatever you put in, you're okay with that going away until you get to know somebody, right? And a lot of times, if you have a desire to want to be like, you want people to learn you and you want people to get to know you, then you'll go in with a good heart, right? And sometimes people, you have to keep in mind that not everybody is evil, right? Sometimes you're coming across people who have their own trauma, people who have their own issues, right? And they may project it onto you, or they may come to you and they may be takers, right? And you might be a giver. And that's a quick way for you to like be burnt out, and you can be like, they can just suck the energy out of you. And then that's how some people get to the point where they're like, all right, I'm done dating for a little bit, or like I'm just done with it all, right? So I think professional help is very helpful, right? Sometimes self-discovery by talking to people, watching videos, learning online, all those things can be pretty helpful. But don't judge yourself. I would say don't judge yourself, and understand that yes, there are people out there who can manipulate you and try and take advantage of certain situations, but you have your past, you can't change it. And maybe with a divorce, maybe there's a hard time being by yourself, or maybe there's a fear of abandonment because of what happened. And all those things are fine because we can't change it, right? But as we get better and as we know more about ourselves as adults, all we can do is really control ourselves, right? So the more you just focus on, all right, this is me, I'm Chris, I got to take care of myself, and I'm only going to put in what I can afford to lose, like in terms of energy, resources. So quick little date, go to Starbucks or something like that. Don't spend too much money, don't spend too much time on it, right? Because if you spend a lot of time, effort, money, and it doesn't go well, then like the hurt is like multiplied, right? So hopefully that is helpful for you. Zane, hey, I thought Zane was on here today. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I can't call this therapy, right? Legally, I want to abide with the regulations and the laws. That's why it's we're just kicking it out here. But I do appreciate that you feel like it's like therapy for you. Thank you for making me get through the day for like every day. Much love in the Philippines, Zane. I appreciate you, my guy. I appreciate you. I got my brother hooked in the. Hey, Ken, tell your bro to comment. Like, tell him a comment. Like, hey, this is a very it's a very supportive community. Like we vibe out here, right? All right, now the fifth potential sign of a codependent relationship, and this is I got some thoughts on this. Let me drop it in here. All right, so the fifth sign, potential sign, is that you feel like maybe you ask for too much, right? And a lot of times when, and this is outside the codependent relationship, but a lot of times when you feel like you're asking for too much, sometimes, don't take it all the way literally, but sometimes you might not be asking for too much, but you might be asking for a certain thing from the wrong person, right? Now, if you're asking for, a firefighter to come and, like for example, if you go to a firefighter and you ask them to if they can diagnose you with ADHD or if they can do a psych evaluation, they're not going to be able to give it to you, right? But you go to a firefighter, hey, can you diagnose me? They're like, no, I'm not a doctor. I can't do that. You're like, but can you diagnose me? No, I'm not a doctor, right? So if you go to a firefighter for medical issues, you're not going to get what you need. Likewise, if you go to a doctor and you're like, hey, I need you to put out the fire in my house, they're like, hey, I don't know what to do, right? So sometimes when you feel like you're asking for too much, you might not, what you're requesting might not be too much, but it may be that you're asking for that thing from the wrong person, right? So I do want to say that, right? But shifting back to the codependent relationships, right? You might feel like you're asking for too much, right? And whenever you, a good way to figure out, like, am I asking for too much, is like when, like, if you've had to request a certain thing, or if you have had to repeat something over and over and over and over again, then that's a sign of, hey, like, I feel like I'm asking for a lot, or like I'm not able to get this because I keep saying, hey, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. And you're not getting anything, right? Maybe the person is just not capable of giving it to you, so I think that's very important to recognize. Debbie has a question here: is being territorial and jealous the same or different? That's a really good question, because I feel like you could be uh, jealous without being territorial. Like you could be jealous, but you might not like be trying to, like, if the person's not there, like you might be okay with them, not being like within your vicinity, or feeling like, oh, I have to like be all around them. But a lot of times, if somebody is jealous, or territorial, like those two things go together. Um, and let me see. How can you tell that somebody being too clingy? Ooh, good question. All right. These are good questions. These are good questions. I appreciate y'all. How can you tell someone that they're being too clingy? Don't want to hurt them, but it's suffocating sometimes, to be honest. I feel bad saying that, though. I think a good way to start off is by saying, hey, like, this is a very difficult conversation for me because, like, I really care about you and I like you. And I kind of feel bad for saying this, but I want to express myself. And for me, like, I do better when I have just a little bit more space. And like right now, like I don't feel like I'm getting enough space from you. Not that I want to leave, but I just need like a little bit more space to, like, just to breathe. And I think sometimes if you can avoid the word clingy, like I posted a video, was it yesterday, and I used clingy, and some people were upset, and I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, obviously, but that might be like a trigger word, right? So maybe if you can say clingy without being clingy, like, hey, can I get this a little bit more space? Because you want to say something as soon as you're able to effectively, express yourself. Because if you don't say something, a lot of times you wait, the person's like all up on you, and then they're just like on you, and then you snap. You're like, hey, get off of me, and then like you were able to express yourself in a respectful manner, right? So the sooner you say something, the better. But figure out how to try not to use the word clingy. That might be too much. Zoe, come here, Zoe. All right. She don't listen to me unless I have food. Is it normal to want to talk to your partner constantly, like every second of the day? All right, listen, this is a good question, and it's a good question. And so here's the thing: every relationship has their own cadence, and people have their own way of doing things. Like every second of the day. Well, listen. So I think it's Aliasa. Am I saying it correctly? Aliasa. But every second of the day, I think it you would want to have some space for yourself, right? Now, I don't know if you mean like literally every second of the day, but like some couples enjoy checking at each other, constantly texting, blah blah blah. So you have to figure out like what is your partner okay with, right? If you've been dating somebody who kind of wanted space, and then all of a sudden, you talk to somebody else who really likes to engage throughout the day, it could be difficult for you, right? Um, People in the chat. I'm trying to like uh please try not to spam the chat so I can see all the questions and comments, please. But it would be a healthy relationship will have some space between it, between the two people. I know that for a fact. Now, how much space, it depends on you, right? Maybe you really just want to talk to your partner all the time and vice versa. It's about what your partner wants. If you're on the same page, hey, if you like it, I love it. Right. Let me see. How you said space. How do you defend the fact that you need space without making someone feel you don't want or need them? Kaylin, that's difficult because sometimes you can't control that part, right? The best that we can do is say it in the most respectful way, and say it in a way that conveys that we care about the person, right? But, I mean, I feel this personally because, like I'm in and out of meetings and making videos and stuff, and sometimes I like my space, so it's tough. I feel you on this. This one's very personal for me, because I always try and say things in a nice way, but I mean, I'll say things, I'll talk about my boundaries, and then after that, if the other person maybe isn't able to do that, you say, hey, okay, I'm gonna kind of like retreat or whatever, but it's not anything against you, but it's more so like for me, I need to kind of like do this for myself. Let me answer Summer's question, and after Summer's question, we can somebody can drop the magic word in the chat. How do you learn how to have healthy roles in a relationship? I asked my partner to help with different things because I feel like I'm putting in more effort into my relationship than my partner is. That could be an issue there. When I try to express it, my partner labels my concerns as nagging, even if I express it calmly. Am I going about this wrong, or is this relationship toxic? I'm not getting any happiness or effort back out of this relationship. Can you do a video on how to avoid toxic relationships? Summer, I got a video for you in the chamber right now. I got a video in the chamber right now. I got one. I got a couple of videos about toxic relationships. Within the next week or so, you will see it here. You're from Facebook. Yeah, you'll see here on Facebook within the next week or so. I have at least 2. By next week, Friday, you'll get at least 2 of these videos. And I don't want to say your partner is toxic, right? Because like toxic is a heavy word, but it looks like the other person is struggling with understanding a certain boundary that you're putting up, right? And if you're not getting any like reciprocity in the relationship, like that's the issue right there. Chris Rock has a joke where he says, it's difficult for one person to move the couch, but 2 people can move it pretty easily, right? If you're moving the couch by yourself, or you're the only person doing the work, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna flame out, right? So letting your partner know, hey, I need certain things to happen, right? And then after you set the boundaries, your actions have to be congruent with what you just said, right? You can't be like, hey, I need you to put in more work in the relationship, or like, hey, I need a little bit more, and then your actions subsequently don't mirror that, right? You may have to say, hey, I have to do, you have to figure out what you need to do to stand for yourself and do those things over time, and hopefully your partner gets on board with the relationship, right? But I want to be slow to say toxic, but a situation like this where you constantly feel disrespected and you're not able to express yourself could very well soon be toxic, if not already. And Kendra, before a water break, Jess, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. And I'm learning from y'all. I'm inspired by y'all, and even me myself here. I don't have a therapist in California, so I'll be reading through some comments. I'm like damn, it's time for me to get my own therapist again. I have one back on the East Coast. All right, guys, water break. It's time for the water break. So if you're new to the show, this is the water break. We normally do it around the 40-minute mark, if we get there, and we've gotten there, right? So you're going to go ahead and take water or whatever beverage of your choice. I got me some water from the grocery store. And, drink the water. You don't have to chug it. Just drink the water. or whatever beverage of your choice, right? So it's time for the water break. But that's not the magic word. The magic word is cheers. Thank you, Destiny. All right. Whew. Those uh cheers. We we much needed. Yeah. Like sometimes I forget to drink water. I think it's a good idea to just keep like 3 bottles right here. I'll probably do that when I get off the live. Uh, um. Uh. Let me answer this question for Casey. One last thing, can you please explain how draining this is for you? I surrounded myself with like-minded individuals, and the one consistent thing that occurred was we tried to make everyone comfortable. Please know this is for you. Oh well, thank you for asking. This is not draining for me at all. Like I enjoy doing this. Like something that's draining is like maybe like going through like emails and stuff, which is necessary, but I kind of struggle with that. But like this is cool. I enjoy doing this. During the summer when I was trying to like host, I don't know how many guys we had here at the house. Like we had like 8 PlayStation set up. We had all these monitors. We were just playing all these games. Then it was difficult for me to do both, right? So I made a game time decision to go ahead and suspend the live for the summer so I could spend time with my brothers, who were in town with their friends, and we just played video games and all that. And then I said, all right, I'm gonna come back in August. So for now, no. If the hardest part about this live, honestly, the hardest part about the live is just sitting down, honestly. All right, sit down. Once I start, and I feel like that's a very ADHD thing, like ADHD. I believe ADHD is the issue of like following through. Like what you gotta do, but for some reason you can't just do the thing. So once I sit down, I'm good. But like normally sometimes Leilani will email or somebody will DM like, are you going live? Once I get like a reminder or whatever, I was gonna come live regardless. But once I get on here, excuse me, then I'm good. But the hard part is really just getting on here. My partner adds, and we're at the 53-minute mark. We can go ahead and go until an hour. Text team back. All right. My partner adds random women because of their looks. He knows it bothers me, but refuses to delete them when he brought up the idea. What do I do? I've tried talking, and it's been months. Ooh. All right. So Rachel says having issue with her partner who's adding a random woman because of the looks, right? I'm assuming this is on maybe Instagram or something like that. But here's the thing. So this, like, whoever decides if adding or liking somebody's pictures is wrong, that should be decided by the people in the relationship, right? So it looks like y'all have already had the conversation, and it's still bothering you, but he refused to delete them when the idea was brought up. So now it's been months, and you'll know what to do, right? So in this situation, like you've already said you've already said your piece. You said what you had to say, but your actions after that were not congruent with what you said, right? You said, hey, like I feel kind of like disrespected when you add women because of the looks. Can you stop doing it? They didn't do anything, right? So you don't have to punish your partner, but there should be some type of like reinforcement, or some type of boundary, like, hey, this makes me feel like this. And when I feel disrespected, I don't feel safe in this relationship. Like, if it's been going on for months, it may be a good idea to really have another conversation and say, hey, like, I know we didn't really get to the bottom of this, but the longer it goes on, like, I don't feel good at all. And like, I don't know if I can continue to be in a situation where I don't feel respected. So I would really appreciate it if we can sit down and talk about it, right? And when you say that, any type of like responsiveness from your partner, I would go ahead and commend them on that, right? Because the goal is not to be like, all right, hey, if you don't delete those girls off of Instagram, we're breaking up. The goal is to see if they're responding to you, right? So whether he deletes the women or whatever, at least you want to see that he's responsive to you. So if he's like, all right, you know what, I'm sorry, I think about it. Like, let's work through it. I'll take that as a sign of progress, right? But if nothing is happening, and push comes to shove, sometimes you may have to separate yourself. And whether that's in the form of a breakup or just maybe like getting some space between you and the person, sometimes something has to be done, before like the desired action that you would like happens. All right. Let me get to two things I learned from you. Contrary to what my coworkers think, I'm not codependent about me. Oh, wow. Thank you for the videos. Heather, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And how you make somebody a moderator? Mickey Ficky. I don't even know how to do that. I will figure out how to do that. Like, I don't know how to do that. Like, send me an email. I'll send it to the team. I gotta figure that out. The reason why I remember to take Jess, I appreciate you. Do you Stein, when you rub my hands? Stein, what do you mean by Stein? I'm not sure what that means. I'm sure that means how to get help therapy if you can't afford it, but desperately need it. Jen, so I posted a video on Facebook a couple of days ago about an employee assistance program that my friend Shani, the therapist, talked about. Check that out and let me know if that's helpful. If not, come back either today or on tomorrow's live and let me know. I'll get to thinking about something. Contact us. I'll be all right. What's your? I'm trying to get some. Let's see, good question to. All right, Jacqueline, let's get it. What would you recommend to get back in focus? To get back on focus and in sync with my wife. We used to be such an amazing team, and depression and dozens of series of unfortunate events has taken a toll on our family this year. So, Jacqueline, first of all, sorry to hear that. Like, I can see how even depression by itself can really make a relationship difficult. So, how to get you back on the same wavelength with your wife, right? So, the good news is you all used to be an amazing team, right? And you know what like a healthy and thriving relationship look like for y'all, right? So you already have that motto, set up, right? Sometimes people are in relationships where, I look at it, or if somebody tells me about the relationship, I'm like, I don't know if this at any point was ever healthy to anybody in the relationship. I don't know if it's a trauma bond or whatever, but I'm like, I don't know if this was ever a healthy relationship. But luckily for you, it was a healthy relationship, right? So what I'll probably do is I'll write down 5 things that you enjoyed about your relationship with your wife when things were good, and then start working on it one at a time, right? And you mentioned the dozens of unfortunate events. Those things happen like one at a time, even if it happened on the same day, like it was one after the other. So the same way that you get out of the jam is the same way that you kind of got in, right? So slowly, rein it back in and do what you can, one thing at a time. And in regards to the depression, I think that's where it's very helpful to get a professional, right? If you can talk to a professional, get some therapy, get some type of help, right? And somebody in your area, just Googling, therapists near me, psychiatrists near me, and then a long list of mental health professionals can, hopefully you can talk to them. Maybe it's an employee assistance program or something, or maybe there's somebody in your area who's doing like a sliding scale. I know when I was seeing patients, was it last year or January, like, my assistant who was on the psychiatry side of things, like she was able to like figure out some type of sliding scale so that way people could pay less. I don't even know how she did it, but I thought it was super brilliant. So that's what I would say. And, I wish you the best of luck. Come back on the live and give us a update. So we know, because I'm kind of invested into it. You have my vote for what? What am I running for? President or something? Please keep this. Carmela, this live is going to be up for sure. This live will definitely be up. Why is it that Facebook user? This is a good question. I don't know. I have no idea. Why is it only that women are only on this thread trying to evolve? I don't know. And to be honest, to be honest with you all, like, I mean, like, I'm not like, hey, I'm here to help whoever wants to see whatever I'm talking about. So like, I think it's like right now my analytics is like 81% female, 19% male. on all the platforms. And I mean, like, that's cool. Like, whoever wants to see the content, that's what I'm making the content for. But when we talk about male mental health, there's a reason why, every 3 out of 4 complete suicides are by men. Like, it's getting worse. Like, it's getting worse, unfortunately. I like to sit up here and clap my hands and, like, be in a good mood. But with male mental health, things are not getting better. With mental health in general, things are not getting better. But with male mental health, I'm doing my best, to post about it. I posted some videos about gaslighting and things like that. I always make sure that when I post one video about something, I want to reverse it. I want to show what it looks like when the guy is gaslighting the girl and when the girl's gaslighting the guy. I want to show all perspectives, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I was hurt. Reading some comments yesterday, looking at some of the videos, and like, I was being accused of being like a misogynist or sexist, and I'm like, whoa, these folks don't know my platform, right? But I tried to switch a scenario to show, like, the lady gaslighting the guy, and it wasn't received well by the some of the my female following. But I still want people to let me know how they feel when, like, if you're pissed off at a video, like, if you think this video is whack AF, like, write that in the comments. Like, I want to know exactly how y'all feel. But the reason why I was hurt is because I've been trying to crack the code to figure out how to make content for guys, right? Or how to make content for the 18-year-old version of myself. That's how I look at it, right? So to get to the guys, but it's really hard. It's really hard, and yeah, like, my intention is never to offend on the platform. I want to do a couple of things. I want to educate. I want to entertain, make you laugh, and I want everybody to feel safe and respected. So, all the women who are on this thread, like, I'm with it. Like, hope we get more of them, right? And like, leave it up to me to figure out how to be creative to get the guys in there without trying to, like, offend anybody, right? Like, I'm always trying to figure out. I'm trying to make sure that nobody feels disrespected and anything, but at the same time, I'm also trying to do an accurate portrayal of how things would be, because that's when you get DMs from people. I've had guys DM and say, "Oh, thank you so much. I was stuck in this relationship and I was able to get out." So those things do make me feel good. But I'm not gonna lie. I read some comments. I was, like, hurt. Today was a filming day for me. I was about to just be like, "All right, I'm done." Like, and I've never really been that frustrated in my whole social media career. Like, it's been, what, 3 years? Coming up on 3 years I've been doing this full time, and I've never been as frustrated as I was reading through comments yesterday. So that was frustrating because I wasn't upset because of what was said, but more so of the fact that my point was, like the point wasn't, like yeah, some people didn't get the point, right? But those things happen, right? Those things happen, right? And yeah, I mean, Raybug, sometimes you can't win for losing, but at the end of the day, I don't want to get to the point where, like, you all feel away and you hold back. Like, no, don't hold back. Please don't ever hold back. Always, always, always let me know how you feel, right? Like, I'm not censoring nobody. I'm not deleting comments. I'm not blocked. If you're spamming, then all right, that's different. If you're spamming, like, every video, I'm like, all right, you're not making this an enjoyable experience for anybody. But for the most part, like, please, like we can only make progress if we're honest, right? So if you feel like I dropped the ball on anything, like, I'm not gonna be offended. Like, I don't know if it's my ADHD or whatever, but, like, I have a hard time reading between the lines. So let me know what it is, and, like, as long as I know what it is, I can just get to the thing, right? It's just easy to, like, not have to, like, and I vote for you. So I wasn't born in this country, Kendra. I was born in Africa, in Ghana, West Africa. So I can't run for president. Now I don't want them changing that rule for me, and politics. But, like, I'm happy to be y'all's like, social media, like, class president or something like that. Ooh, Casey, this is a good. This is a good question right here. Undiagnosed ADHD with addiction is a constant struggle. Okay, yeah, no, I'll definitely put down the schedule. I like that, and I actually have some content coming out about addiction. And my a lot of folks don't know, but my doctoral project was like a 75-page paper. It was long AF, but it was centered around substance use disorder, right? So I talk a lot about ADHD, but there's a link between ADHD, especially undiagnosed ADHD, and also addiction. So I will definitely get to that. I have some content planned for that, but we can definitely have a live where I talk about that for sure, for sure. All right, so let me see. Okay, updates. Okay, I gotta get to some work. But no, this is dope. This is super dope. This is a nice little bonus episode. We will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, so we'll be back for a regular episode of the Late Night Show tomorrow. But this is super cool. Like, I really appreciate you all. I appreciate every single person here. Yeah, and I did say Facebook class president. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. But yeah, I appreciate you all. Continue to let me know how y'all feel on every single video on the lives. And keep in mind, when I'm making the content, I want it to like reflect like accurate and like real life scenarios, right? Like I don't want it to be like the generic, oh, mental health, hey, go to therapy, you know, or like take care of yourself. Like, no, like I want to like actually like get to the heart of some of these issues. So I really appreciate you all, and I will be back tomorrow. And tomorrow, make you think. Tomorrow, tomorrow we'll be going live at 8 o'clock PST, so it'll be 11 o'clock on the East Coast. So it will be a later live. It's normally at 6 o'clock in California time, 9 o'clock on the East Coast, but it will be a late show. So just giving you all a heads up. It's gonna be a late show, so I'm gonna let y'all know that, and I'll get my assistant to prepare that for me. So. All right, so you all take care. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I like to do with this. All right, so peace. I'll see y'all tomorrow.